no say me kan no we wrap FM studios na fake what you make ababe can do this Greater Accra Regional Minister also wa or wa papa enti wono na eba Pascal Brantie so na na nam hotietie bi no Pascal Brantie so na enti mampani na nado dan Akufo-Addo aba bedru Peace FM ha UTV ha oba bewura studio na fe one yenua chema gina kwam Sefa kan edi nkomo enti se medi kankan no ene ne nsem obeka ni nyina ye ne mo bechi ni nyina mako mo betie na mahwe utie na wo hwe Kofi Kumbilson kojo asante ene dankwaku ye bo anomo nyina ne nam hobi omo mama mpani akwaba enti mampani bi wura studio anesa obi wura Peace FM studios anesa enche aha enti mampani abeya obebe studio dia me so me de bidie besi ha na ya sori na yetumi atie dia mampani His Excellency na nado dan Akufo-Addo obebeka de akire nyina enti da mo nyina ase ama mo ni hwe ye ko na ye ko tie mampani nsem a wo ka no ye da mo ase.
Better malt. Be better every day. This advert is
say Mr. Sakakaka. Say Saya Berias. Iti. Mr. Say last time I will buy me the name chairman general na mete ha. And now you're candidate Akufo-Addo.
Hey, that was the last time.
That was the last time.
2016.
2016 must have been December 3rd or thereabouts.
And then the counting
Hey, Nyamiado.
Oh, man.
Hey, Nyamiado.
Quite small back when you I feel I'm about to shot there, shot say, my problem won't cry.
And crying. Yeah, yes, when you're dancing, him say, where you man soon shed or no dawson. Na your tone saffron when you're one that job be pee hand. Yes, so yeah, that's it. Apani, Sunny D can no time I oba had the last time na o pray, se obeba be man penny. And Nyamia do one son baby, you know, yeah, man penny. Many can be say, I tell saying, what's the feeling like? What achieve your dreams? So be digan anymore. I tell say,
strong. Well, first of all, point of correction. I'm paying twice over.
And Paul, round two. Important because say we're round two. Round two.
We first round one and then we pray. I pray Emma Ghana for my dome at the round two so I can warm me. Now, everybody there day. I'll be able to check when I saw, like I said, money easy. And I wouldn't say me background. It be a Jumana no TSA. And now I'm so kind of cry a day. That's also no. Nam say, the coupons I said I'm out quite so. Where you 30 million Ghanaians, see you so better when you are cashier so now, two pound man. Say, Shaka say, Mammy. You know, so more me.
What did you maybe brace you any so? You fear see, I mean, you say, ye, Nemum, Obaka say, O share Nyama Odisi when you so ne baby, our baby round 2 more. At saying, Bosch, a Juma.
Substantially, if it's substantially, Koyanima fine. Major commitments and so on, and also see commitments. Akufo-Addo Magana for, you know, major ones, restoring our social infrastructure, educational system, our health system, coming to grips with our infrastructure, expanding the economy so that there are more opportunities. So I mean, you know, were the key commitments here. Now, I think that when you look back today, even despite the COVID interventions, so we are saying for COVID came as a disruptive factor. But between 2017 and the COVID in 2020, there are significant advances that the economy of the country had made. And even now, we're seeing that those advances have given us a basis recovering from the COVID pandemic. You know, you keep hearing about the economies of the world that still attained a positive growth rate even during Ghana. So yes, how can you ever be satisfied? And you might hear, what is this? Well, how can you ever say so? We are satisfied. To me, I can say you're encouraged by the rate of progress, and the I'm encouraged by the and going around the country, which is one of the main things I'm seeing to keep in touch with the developments around the country, to see with my own eyes. Not always, but every now and then you get an information. It doesn't tally with what's going on the ground. From Kwami going around, today is the beginning of the 16th region now.
Yes.
Makum, in the course of the last 6 months, I think 15 regions are winning now. Rather than a central regional tour, and then I may say, obvious reasons, it usually has to be either the first or the last. I'm reasonably encouraged by the program of government, by the results of that program. But you're seeing it. People are questioning this statement. The work I'm doing is bearing fruit and it's being seen all over the country. If you take whatever indices, nearly 500,000 more people are in secondary school now than they were as a result of the government's free SHS policy. We now have a national health insurance scheme that is working, where the NHIS card will produce, so when you go to hospital, you're given treatment. It works. It's not like before where just that is no longer the situation in the country today. So you look at that. You look also at this big vexed question. The quality of our roads. Mebano. Infrastructural development about said that is the meaning of unprecedented.
Unprecedented, yes.
You'll be this is some air Troy. Evoca said, unprecedented development. You say, Mitika Munamada. It's me who acquire.
Now, but you're saying what Dakaka? I said, what Dakaka wabre.
I was feeling the bumps. It's Babia Meko. Within my first year, I buy from Accra up to Paga, back to through Hamile, up to Aflao, up to Elubebia. The first thing on the mouth of virtually every chief, every opinion leader, So it isn't true that we have seen, and in fact, first 4 years here by the amount of road coverage which has taken place since we came expanded the road network considerably. And it's obvious. Even here in Accra, you can see the road works that are going on. We're seeing it all over the country. It is by no means enough. We still have much more to do to give our country the modern road network which it deserves. But and for me, that is the encouraging aspect of my period as the president. Serious efforts are being made to tackle some of the fundamental problems of our country. They will not all be resolved, even in my time, perhaps even in the time of my successor, but very serious efforts are being made to come to grips with these problems. And that, for me, is the encouraging aspect of my period in office.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Amotese Yanene Chichin Komo Ewe Jumedine Sukokroko Peace 104.3 na anope waye adom enya ehwa daje ababe pieha na opache se na probono wako 15 regions efe nyame adom wako do 16th region Greater Accra na anope wababe du hey. One of the things I can say, Akwan. I'm paying contractor for Susan. Inte na.
What be suka kra?
Almost said, I was this kind of man.
So Sikana will be here so the be Akwan and Sikana enough.
Yeah.
Sikana also moved to Papa and putting it together, being able to be. But I believe says at the end of the day, no bottom line now here.
Yeah.
And the bottom line tells you that a significant amount of work is being done on rehabilitating and expanding our road network. Yes, in the process, unfortunately, not all the contractors are being paid on time. But I think we're making it the effort to make sure that at the end of the day, everybody gets what is due to them. And we'll continue to do that. It cannot be in the interest of government, say, private sector people will finance the public sector development. That should not be the case. If anything else at all, it should be the other way around.
The other way around.
The public sector is the one that is helping to finance the growth of the private sector. But it's not the best. It's not the best. We're improving.
Inti contractor for Shombo say you bedidi.
And in the past, regular payments have been made to make sure that they are in a decent place. We have to do it.
Mr. President, talking about COVID and Senia say we are here for Sikasemne in Humania de Ghana not being accepted from this. Now Ebiswaka say one, we were ill prepared. Two, it knocked us out because don't blame COVID, blame poor management of the economy. Also, must say.
I'm amazed. I'm going to be one thing a year, and now was some those who are saying this, even the simple arithmetic, maybe 2017, the last year of the predecessor government, rate of growth of the economy, 3.4%, the lowest in over 20 years. Our first year, rate of growth was over 8%. Second year, 7%. Third year, 6 point something. On the average, the growth rate of the economy between 2017 and 2020, the onset of COVID, was 7%. A 7% economic growth made us one of the fastest growing economies in the world, not just on the African continent, but across the globe. All what the economists, when they find it laughable, so-called macroeconomic data, all of them have pointed in a much more positive manner by seeing what they were there before. Inflation came down from nearly 16% to single digit, and it is now just crept over 10%.
Yes.
Interest rates, 32% Today, they're hovering around up 20%. Peace FM. Effort being made to bring them further down. Peace FM. Reserves. You had trade deficits before I came. Today, we have trade surpluses. Reserves. 2.5, barely 3 months worth of reserves. 5.5, nearly 6 months of reserves today. So this data, I'm not saying that the data in itself tells everything, but the data, and you compare this to those who are making the accusation of poor management. Now, once again, English language, I'm surprised to hear some of these accusations, especially from the lips from which they come. Say, Ms. Man, it is 1 year were responsible for the 3.4% rate of growth and for the inflationary pressures that were so evident in Ghana at the time. So one in Bemu COVID and by this time that we have buried the country. We would have been buried by now. R.I.P. Ghana, rest in peace. It would have been broken by now. So I don't think that we should engage the Ghanaian people in this kind of unnecessary, tendentious politics of making these statements.
Mr. President, talk about growth, improvement in the economy, numbers, figures, interest rates, macro, micro, inflation, on paper, GDP. It's only meaning in you're trying to crack down also the NHS impunto abem, and so meaning say ye bisa say nipa nankasa no omuhunu sa. Do the people feel these things? Do you get so. That feedback? No?
I believe so. I believe that is it, because in the end also, statistics, they translate into things. I mean, take for instance the issue of inflation.
Yes.
So it's now 100 cities. At the rate of inflation, a year 15%. That says that the 100 cities look around, which I can say 15% of that, 15 cities. You have to take it out to get the net value of the money that you have. Inflation about 10%. What does it mean? It means you're talking about 10%, 10 cities, not 15.
Not 15.
These are all, I mean, they don't come as if they say, IBB boom, but incrementally, you look at all these figures, who say, yes, some improvement in living standards is taking place. I cannot explain the 500,000 vote difference between me and my main opponent, other than it being an endorsement by the people of Ghana of my stewardship. In December, 4 years after I took office, I went to the polls, and the people of Ghana returned me with a margin of over 500,000 over my predecessor. That has to be an endorsement of the policies that we have been putting in.
Doesn't that make you complacent too?
Does not make me complacent.
Say Ghana for, you know.
Maybe I'm No, on the contrary. For me, I have a commitment given to me by the mandate. Say between 2017, 2021, 2025, I work flat out to address the problems of this country. I can never have a moment of complacency. That is not in my book. And I think those of you who know me a little bit will know, say, that's not the way I look at life. The complacency,
Mr. President, 77 and counting, what drives you? I
think it's an interest in the development of Ghana. From a long time ago, the Madrid said, war, intellectually, physically, spiritually, I'll put it at the service of this country to see what contribution I can make. Contribution, it's a contribution you're making to the growth of our country. I think there's a tendency to think that it's only in politics that you make it. It's not true. All of us, in our different spheres of life, we're all making contributions to the development of our country. And I felt that the most effective way I can also help was through political engagement. So that has been the drive. A drive about Ghana, its present and its future. And it continues to be my mantra. What to do to bring about the improvement of the conditions of life of our people, what to do about improving the standing of our nation in the Committee of Nations. These are the things that drive me, and they continue to drive me, and they will until the time comes. The Constitution is also said 7th January 2025. I said sorry for it. But I have a big passion about Ghana. A big passion about the future of our country. What are we talking about? We're talking about the country, the first in Africa, Black Africa to be free, the most enduring democracy on the continent today after decades of turmoil. There's so many things about the Ghanaian people and their development, which for me are sources of pride. And provide the inspiration for trying to help and to move the people of this country forward. And there's very praiseworthy people, and serving them is an honor as far as I'm concerned, and a privilege. And in some ways, I saw meaning all the difficulties, negativities, radio, so they did do attempts all day, all night. I was also because who can say, hey, and I won't be so for I mean, all of these things, but they don't disturb me, and they don't derail me. They don't divert me from the project ahead of me.
What about 7th January 2025? Inti my main friend Nchema Sana Yaba wa proboni bi. So 7th January 2025 upe so tem cry and fama wa wajia tum se ECOWAS ne ekosono enye papa third termism. Omo mpese umdi wade wo party mu wa bedi e kire Dr. Baumia yatini din ora lan chairman tin on your no start to pray nyenne yate ora boache jakudin yate oro so free akoto a Greek minister panyfo bebi yate ti omudin says ansem tete a it is saying how do you take it? Are they focused on the work you've given them, or are they busily trying to succeed you?
At the moment, I have no evidence that for ambition are interfering with the work that they're doing. I have no evidence. On the contrary, I continue to see in the cabinet, in the government, people who are working strongly for their. I mean, Usofia Kuto with the agricultural projects now. Ugusu Dendende, Chamating and the industrial agenda, something that is being worked on very, very hard. Every day, wherever I go, see your friends saying 1D, 1F projects coming into being. 1D, 1F policy and Akufo-Addo, as usual. King Promise.
Utinina.
So me never been a kikas as a quite be as so every day the country is seeing that yes, these commitments to build the factories in the various areas of Ghana, they're commitments that are bearing fruit. Baumia is the chairman of the economic management team, which is the position of the vice president. We see the big efforts that the economy is making against very difficult circumstances to move. So all of them, and as I say, I have not seen, because if that was to happen, I would have to act, assuming say be ambition in tea. No night to say we will put fully at Tunche. But obviously the president cannot be unconcerned. I mean, I've been in this position before.
Yeah.
Yes, I was a minister in President Kufuor's government, foreign minister at the time when the bell sounded for the race for his successor. I had to comport myself accordingly. As far as I'm concerned, those who are there in that situation today are also. There's two issues for me that matter. One, that we should have a transparent, credible, acceptable process for choosing our next flag bearer. The same as I came out of such a process. It should be my responsibility to make sure that the process for choosing the next leader of the MPP is equally free of doubt or machination or manipulation. That's for me absolutely key. And I'm hoping that a level playing field that allows us to elect our next presidential candidate will also bring us a candidate who can unite our party. Because competition there could be also oh yes, and it's inevitable. It will bring some divisions in the party. But we are the ruling party. So there's a responsibility on us to conduct ourselves in such a way that, because cracks in the MPP, they're serious, can have a reflection on the state.
Yeah.
We are the ruling party. And if our base, which is our party, is fractured, that fracture can be translated into a fracture in the state. Nobody wants that. And we in the MPP should be the last to accept such a reality in the country.
What would you do to influence the process?
Making sure that the process is fair. Making sure with the party leadership that a fair, transparent, credible process is put in place that will enable, because at the end of the day, it is the party that makes the choice. I was the choice of the party. I wasn't the choice of any cabal or group of people. Yes, there were people who supported me right from the beginning. But at the end of the day, it is the ordinary party people in the polling stations, in the constituencies, in the regions, who actually cast a vote, a vote free of any sort of irregularity to elect me. I want the same thing for my predecessor, that he should also, he or she, people will accuse one of me. Will also be. But as I say, that is important. And secondly, that we get a personality who's capable of unifying the various groupings in the party and being able to present a formidable front for the 2024 election.
You've worked with all of them. Deep down, I'm sure you have your favorite.
I have a vote. So it's like in the national election, I have a vote. So in the your friend is primaries of the MPP, by our constitution, I have a vote.
Into betua mo bi pe.
Kwami so say me tumo bi.
Na akani pakro no.
The secrecy of the ballot. Kwami so no me votes.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo Mampanyi Republic of Ghana.
Peace FM.
And I want to say, you know, etwetwe nkomo anape efa ni nyuma a wodi na pro bonho ne nia ekeka ka ho nyina na yanko bisa no say na pro bono. So far 15 regions have been covered. 16th region Greater Accra and Ufiasie Henry Quarter Greater Accra Regional Minister meaning say udimu akwetene papa Mampanyi yempie baby
Henry Quarter has one but since me born when I come phone wabomode
Henry Quarter
I think so Bia who said Adwin Papa na me didn't buy
also
doing a good job in the country.
Also na ona man yes I no unsuro hwe no na aya so mu ade akra
no ninja no person ya adwuma fofo
o say no mpe
at the beginning
and then
where are now so adjust your mind to it and get on with it, but he's proved to be an extremely strong choice and preference in Ejuma oye no so says obi ehun se oba so oba be ejuma oba se oba be diagro na oba be petine man dem oye agrubusi again the relocation of the people, the let's make Accra work, the agenda, making meaningful of our commitment to a clean Accra city and then the city whose public services are in order. They are the work of a very committed regional minister. The past will say, Nyamin Kwan Mehunsa, Ghana for no do door, one year one cry, do one who say, Payaba. Then the Cassie. Say, one be age, my papa, because I can see a bone to penny gram say, you must say, I saw South mean, I can show you.
Henry, no, my call Bammy. It's not just when you a Juma while you're home.
He's doing well.
Great.
Doing a good job.
Great. Let's move on, Mr. President. One of the accusations about where Juma Home they say more abandoned projects, all kind social infrastructure. Senya moye say Juma, but otia yes, we abandoned project, we abandoned way. We predecessor Juma wabeye ebi wo ho a oba wejemu. Yenim say minority caucus ewo mrachebedwem akọ aprobo omakopie voter region aflawo ohene kra ka say school e-blocks omusi wo ho mwajemu na enyehwe ene ye one accusation abandoning project omapanyi mahama kwa pache say Commander Sugar Factory ade a wo sheda pa say $24 million bia Indian government say mama imagine wan kwankwaje ka ho na Commander adwuma no atwe assign Ebiswaka say road networks, Upper West region. Into accusations in the ewo. Openi, uso mu saying say edwuma ye de Ghana sika air no also when ye.
Say me kai no. E want to be wa otia. Me feel say asifem because the reality, the facts on the ground tell you a completely different story. Infa Commander.
Okay.
Just to begin with.
But
I say Mukoka says you can't build a house by starting at the roof without building a foundation because the house will collapse. That is exactly what has happened as far as Commander is concerned. But let me just state some simple facts about Comenda. When the factory was built,
Yes.
immediately after the factory was built, it shut down. This was in the NDC time.
May 2016.
May 2016. Immediately after its commissioning, on the 30th of May 2016, the factory was shut down because of lack of access to raw materials. And soon after, a transaction advisor who was appointed by the then NDC government, I think it was Price Waterhouse. Was it Price Waterhouse? Was Price Waterhouse came to try and assist the government to sell 70% of the shares in the factory.
70%.
70% of the shares in the factory. And all this is happening in the Mahama era. It's not my time. Up and down, no progress. Why? Because the fundamental issue which has dogged the Comenda sugar factory, the absence of plan for supply of raw material, makes it a very, very difficult project.
$24 million, he says, was there for you to pick from the Indian government. You didn't.
But why? I didn't know Luan Kwako for Saiska. The money was there before he left office. Why didn't he access it? The money was there before he left office. But in fact, it was going to be difficult to access the money because the factory itself that he had built had collapsed. Are you going to go and tell people you want some more money when the thing that you built is in itself on the back foot?
But you can say it had collapsed. I mean,
Shutdown of a factory. How do you understand it?
So no more maintenance.
Immediately after you build the factory.
Well,
you bring it down it was shut down for lack of raw materials to feed the factory. And this is the point that I've been making, that the whole planning of the Comenda Sugar Factory was wrong from the get-go. What we have been trying to do, what Alan Chamating has been trying to do, and it's a very valiant effort that he has made, is to try now to reconfigure the investment in such a way that he has now access also to raw material supplies from the factory. I think the work that has been done between him, the transaction advisor, and the board of the company is now in a situation whereby, God willing, by February next year, we will have got the Comenda Sugar Factory working.
By February next year?
This is the target that we have.
Do we have raw material?
They've made arrangements now to supply the factory with the raw material.
How sustainable is that, Mr. President?
It's going to be sustainable. If the factory is going to start working, it has to be sustainable. Because when you come back to it and you understand how it is that the poor planning continues to be an albatross around our neck, the question you're asking.
Your roof and your foundation. Yes, how sustainable?
How sustainable is it? Because the initial planning never properly incorporated raw material supplies into the project. Because if that had been so, we would not be in this discussion today. But the arrangements have been. We're talking about roads.
Yeah.
There's so many examples. When you talk about ongoing projects, many of the roads that allegedly we have stalled had no development at all before I came into office.
Really?
I can give you several. The flyover over the motorway from Flower Pot. Physical progress at the time I came to I came to office was 0%. Today it's about 25% movement. There was no development whatsoever. The name, a concept in the air. You're looking at the Bogatanga Boko Polimakum Road. Physical progress as of December 2016, 0%. Today, it's nearly 40%, the development of it. There are several other examples. The Ketekrachi Mandai Nyampali Road 9% development at the time when I came into office. Is now 98% complete. You're talking about the Cancer Wurudu bypass.
Yes.
Phase 3. Physical progress as of December 2016, 10%. Today is 97% virtually complete. You talk about the whole main road in the center, the dualization process of the whole. I came to meet physical progress at 8%. Today, we're talking 50%, the development. The Eastern Corridor Road, lots 5 and 6, which have been the subject of a lot of discussion. When we came in, the physical progress there was 55%. Today, it is 78%. In Kwanta, Dambai Road, the reconstruction.
Okay, Eastern Corridor Road,
no?
Okay, in Kwanta,
no, separate. 6.85% was the rate of physical progress at the time when we came in. Today it's 61%. I mean, there's several such examples, which shows you that the allegation that we have abandoned the road projects that we came to head is difficult.
How about the E-blocks?
Many of them. I think I'll find an opportunity to tell you that many of them are being worked on across the country.
Let me just take one, Mr. President. The one in Aflao where the chief himself has complained. Aflao Pache say e-block no oba yenya hoshi. Inti my education minister up to February say ombe yehu bibi. It's on the set.
Minister ultimatum.
Also abre.
And you go here.
Inti obisa no then I'll back every out of frustration maybe okasa.
As much as possible. I've given you these examples to let you see that, on the contrary, despite the propaganda, because one of the things that I suspect there's a deficit on our part is our ability to counter the propaganda. The propaganda takes over the reality of so many aspects of our national life. It's a pity, but we'll continue.
Is it not because you have a weak communications team?
I don't want to think of it. I think
you've been accused of that. Say yes. MPP more communication, you're poor, you're weak. You're doing good, but nobody's hearing about it.
But people are feeling it. The people in the various areas of life are feeling it, are responding to it.
Would you improve on your communications team?
What aspect of national life can you not improve? What aspect of political engagement can you not improve? You can improve it. But at the same time, too, virulent propaganda has its own power. And that is the phenomenon that my government has been facing. So we're talking about the hospitals.
Yes.
It's another area where I'm alleged to have abandoned the hospitals. The Eurojet project is presented as if it was a project initiated by the Mahama government. It is not true. The Eurojet project was initiated by the Akufo administration. Before President Akufo left office, that whole project had began. The question we have to ask ourselves, the 8 years of NDC rule saw no progress whatsoever on these hospitals. Whether you're talking about WA, the East Municipal Hospital, Prez, all these ones in Soko, all the developments that have taken place in these hospitals took place in my time. They say so. The contractors say so. When these hospitals, the ones that have been commissioned, like the Upper West Regional Hospital, the East Municipal Hospital, the Trifo Praso, the Tepa, and Soko, all these hospitals, when they're completed, listen to the contractors, they'll tell you that for several years they were unable to do any work.
Even though it began under President Akufo?
Even though it began under Akufo. And then it is in my time that the funds and the commitment have been put together to allow these projects to be completed. There's several of them. And as we're speaking now, the 250-bed regional hospital in Kumasi in Syria, I was there. That's what something 95% complete. And the commitment that has been made is that by December, early January, the hospital is going to be... we now have a problem of the supply of the utilities to the hospital, water, the road access, electricity. But the hospital substantially, the civil works for the building of the hospital have now been complete. We have the same phenomenon in Konongo. It's a 60-bed hospital. It's virtually 95% complete as we speak. And we're looking also for that to be also completed at the end of the month. So when you're looking at all these examples, you wonder how come people have the courage to come forward to deny the reality. But then I've noticed that is the stock in trade of my opposition, dealing in facts that are not there, but screaming it so loud that the person who doesn't take care will begin to think that these must be facts. Otherwise, why are they being said? But it is also part of negative propaganda. You repeat an untruth several times. Ultimately, hopefully,
they will sink.
It will sink.
Well, maybe because also you're not telling your story. Your communications team is not telling your story enough. Maybe they should up their game, and probably it will sink the propaganda. But Mr. President,
the propaganda was not able to sink my electoral chances.
I'm out Chimayodo.
Oh yes,
I'm out Chimayodo.
Ghana for some America. Ghana for some America. You have got to Mao. What are they got to? Which shows you that the propaganda in itself, it cannot obliterate the reality and the facts. And at the end of the day, maybe it's a master communicator to someone.
Mr. President, but opinion, about hospitals as Agenda 111, how realistic and feasible is it? It is Ebiaka say prepare Agenda 111 idea near good. Enka gradualist approach ye better. Ebia ye be 20. Na ye disikani na kwashawa ye near nekakaka, but ye ni na no. Ebia ni niska. We are spreading ourselves too thin.
The capacity within the public sector joined up with the private sector is there to carry out the project. Don't have any doubt about it. And the people who have been mobilized here, very much on point. Across the country, the processes for the development of these hospitals are ongoing. We made a commitment that by the end of next year, these hospitals will be in place, and I'm confident from what I've seen of the preparation.
We're not biting more than we can chew?
I don't believe so. I think that it will be a big achievement, and I think it will also be an achievement which will give confidence to our people that we're capable of large-scale infrastructural projects, we, Ghanaians, all the people involved. Some of the contractors will have a foreign contact, but the professionals who are manning this, architects, surveyors, all of them.
Mr. President, don't you think that your enthusiasm, energy, and drive when it comes to Agenda 111 is probably bigger than the reality on the ground?
I don't believe so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. There are one or two places where we're having problems predictably, and it's part of the issues that we factored in about land acquisition and land rights. Those are inevitable aspects in our country with the land tenure system that it has. But overall, and I believe that of the 111, something like 88 or 89 are going. There are a handful. The actual clearing of sites and putting in the basic foundations are already started. The whole thing has been divided into groups. Different groups are responsible, both as architects, as consultants, and contractors, for particular group lots of the hospitals. So it isn't as if it is one particular contractor or one group of architects who are doing in the mall. On the contrary, we're mobilizing across a broad front and bringing together a lot of skills and expertise together to do the project. And I think that this is the kind of project that should be done in this way. Yeah, because it's always difficult. Why does somebody have and somebody doesn't? This thing, what happened was when the COVID, at the very beginning, when we didn't know exactly the trajectory of the hospital, of the COVID, was when I asked for an audit to be conducted as to where the health sites and in the country were. That's when came this information, the initial information that there were 88 districts in Ghana that they didn't have any district hospitals. I am Shishepa. I got frightened. Said that if this disease is the national, the global, and national perspective that there are to it, and that there are nearly 90 districts out of the 200 odd 60 districts that don't have access to a district hospital. It means that the people in those areas, if this disease spreads to them, are truly threatened. And when the result of the order was brought to me, to be honest, my heart was really, really thumping away. I got scared. I said, hey, it's a BBC this disease is this pervasive pandemic, which we are told it is. That kind of food people who bet you. Fortunately, first of all, it didn't turn out to be the case. The pandemic continued to be focused on our two major urban concentrations.
And Kumasi.
In Kumasi, even though there are other parts which also caught it. But nevertheless, what it did to me was to say that whatever be the case, we have to rectify this situation and then strengthen our healthcare system across the nation. We can't have, it's like the schooling. We can't have a situation whereby some places have and other places don't have. It's not good for the morale of our country.
But if you can't afford it, so you can't swap. Well,
we have to be creative. This is what we've been doing. We're trying to, we're finding ways and means to do it. We have to do it. Some of these things have to be done. And as far as the Agenda 111 is concerned, very, 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 very thorough investigations have been undertaken by the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Health, the government system in general, to find the way to do it. The monies for the mobilization are already in place so that the beginning can be financed, and arrangements have been made to make sure that the contractors get paid as they do their work. It can be done.
Mr. President,
simplified a lot of things. We have got uniform designs. We've also agreed on the bill of quantities, uniform across the country, so that we can also have uniform prices and transaction values. All those things have been centralized and clarified. So the possibility of being able then to do the work is very strong. We will do it.
I think about.
I'll be back here next year.
I think Cheba, we are sure say I feel in Cheba.
I'll be back next year.
You beat me near was our hospital.
I'll be back next year. I'll be back next year. Now I don't know a bit more who said the American Papa so hard to have Papa so.
And yet I do guy I do show boy near man our baby.
I don't know say I do guy I do show boy no chase meeting.
Openi Ebane saying na Cape Coast.
I made a mistake. Let me just confess it. I made a mistake.
You did?
Yeah, I made a mistake. In looking at the manifesto, and I tried to do that before I go, I saw one page which talked about a landing site. I didn't go further to see. But in any event, even with the mistake, I think still we have to rethink a lot of things. We can't have a harbour in Almina. We have a harbour in Almina. which is being developed right now. Obviously, Takoradi and Mina. Then we have another one projected for Cape Coast before we go further down the road. I think some rethinking has to go on for us to be able to find what is the value for money arrangements that would. But it was a mistake, and I have to apologize to the people of Cape Coast and the Central Region for that mistake. But presidents are human.
After all.
They're not Superman. They make mistakes.
Well, so that settles it for now. I'm sure that we'll move on. Let's look at corruption quickly, and then you can go on your tour. Because make sure Accra for the regional minister, Wabona Basui, Nitima and the Orhese, Okanuma Banyan, Fiuni, Anake, Okaleba. Mr. President, corruption, Africa, Ghana, in Simbia Ba, Efa, Wabai Bost contaminated fuel, missing excavators, contracts for sale with PPA, NYA, Sputnik vaccines, especially with COVID. Ibiaka said COVID, in Kwafo Abemudi, chop. What did you papa, but you can't on your hearing. Me assure say Waka say, yes, this is why I'm clearing agent. Respectfully, me can lightly say why I'm clearing agent. Obi asamoba na ebidruha na wa clear no.
I think that is the first thing. There's not one single incident. Right from the very beginning, Parliament talked about
cash for seats.
Bochejako tried to influence his outcome. Right through Sensu Bachinum, Jinaponum, accusations that were leveled all the way through up till now. Each one of the allegations that are made are investigated by the state institutions. There's not one. I cannot conduct the investigation. You cannot conduct the investigations from Jubilee House. The ones who can conduct the investigations are the institutions on the ground, whether it is the police, the CID, in some cases the Parliament has those investigative powers, a YOKO. These are the institutions that carry out these investigations and then produce a report. And it is on the basis of their reports that I act. So if they go, because it's very easy. I mean, one of the things is people in public office. It is extremely easy to level the accusation of corruption. For instance, a lot of business people are very quick to do it. 2 or 3 companies are vying for a contract. They go through a tender process, and your company gets it, and Eugene Iron's company doesn't get it. You hear Eugene Iron say, it's corruption. Yeah. You hear a lot of that in our system. I'm not saying that is the only source, but something like that, you investigate it. And you see whether the proper procedures were applied, and if so, the decision-making in the selection was correct, and you operate on that. I am not the clearing agent. There's not one single one of these allegations that were made where I did the clearing. I announced the results. Yes, I announced the result, and that is my responsibility, because in many cases, the investigations were initiated by me. If my attitude was to condone and push it under the table, hide it under the carpet, why would I even begin the investigative process? The reference of my deputy chief of staff to CID was made by me. I don't remember the last time a president in this country did that. I made the reference that the conduct that was being stigmatized should be investigated by the state agencies. Unfortunately, the confidence that we should have in our own state agencies sometimes is not there. And that is a whole matter that we can go into, but I don't think we have the time to do that. So when they work, people will assume that somehow or other they have been influenced. It isn't the case. But when the evidence is there, we have to act on it.
How about PPA, BOST, other places too? You say, you say, National Youth Authority, incidents, you see.
But then he was investigated.
But yeah,
but I don't know the result. The result was that.
So CKB could do an account to me, any baby, free. It drew us and call baby.
The matter was referred. I believe it was referred to the special prosecutor. I believe so. Yeah, but when you make these references, the matter comes out of my hands. How reference, how it is dealt with after that is not a matter for me. But the investigation, the investigative exercise has to go on. And that is what I have insisted on. And if the results come that there is, in fact, no substance to the allegations, and it's my duty, just as it's important to hold people to high standards in public conduct, it's also equally important that allegations which are without substance should not be used to stigmatize public officials. If there is substance in it, fair enough. If there isn't, it shouldn't be allowed to go forward. And to that extent, in many of these cases where the allegations are proved to be valueless, that I've announced that they are valueless, that I'm being accused of being a clearing agent. As far as I'm concerned, I'm being fair.
One of your biggest legacies of the special prosecutor, yeka corruption na no abamitrim. Nyodi kan beye no yetete no honsem bebre no de call foforo aba. Wahye yebo say the new special prosecutor Kisia Jabeng wo gidie say obetimi apeja sa office na konanim. Previous one can say akandie sikasem ni ade no one papa. With new special prosecutor, are you resourcing him enough? Reviving
a controversy with the old special prosecutor. But I think there's enough evidence to show that he was adequately resourced. Yeah, and there's really, as I say, don't want to go into that matter again. He was adequately resourced. Okay. And as far as this one is concerned also, I'm satisfied that the process of giving him the wherewithal to be able to do his work is very, very, very much on, and that he would do. These things, like all of us, when you are appointed to public office, to some extent it's a leap in the dark.
Yeah.
It is, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So we will see with the new special prosecutor to what extent we can count on him to live up to the responsibilities of his mandate. And I'm confident. I think that the Attorney General made a good reference to me. I acted on that reference. Unfortunately, when he went to Parliament, the public scrutiny that accompanies parliamentary approval processes, I think indicated to the country the quality and the nature of the person who had been appointed to this. Let us then rest our case for the time being and see from his deeds, not from his words, whether he's up to the responsibility.
One of the reasons why I'm asking this is he sat here, graciously gave me an interview, and wakekanya mo peswa ye in forensic lab, cyber lab, you know, sanya many 19 na me bisa say eya dia obenya ho aka dia ye adwuma.
Every effort is being made. Every effort is being made to make sure that that in reality he's capable of doing the work.
Wrapping up, Mr. President, 3 years from now, 4 years from now mreyaso. Edina pesi de Kayi.
Somebody who came to work very hard for the people of Ghana. Somebody in whose period the system of governance that we are committed to, democratic governance, was strengthened, deepened. Somebody who made a significant impact on the development, especially of our national economy, and that you can compare the data at the beginning of my mandate and at the end of my mandate to see that there has been a significant improvement, enhancement in the living standards of our people, quality of life to which they expected, and who generally came to make a serious contribution to Ghana's development. That is how I would like to be remembered. Apart from Addo Showboy,
Addo Prema, Addo Gaga.
That is how I would like to be remembered.
One thing you'd also be remembered for, Mr. President, is your contribution to the law in this country. Bano emreni munsemwa debia mafobodi edekaho. Omo mwesuan law beka se okesi sawaye nipa bebe disua de ne. Opani Ghana School of Law Nkomoyi 499 of them. I must say, I say,
there's serious discussion going on in the
yes, who could be saw there were UPSC say expansion project to be. Unfortunately, Yasuma reporters alcohol. Okate saw the opinion Obianko Yahoshibium.
Oh, seriously.
Yeah, Obianko Yahoshibium.
Okay.
Inti yase saw the Okate UPSC, Obia nim say one obey inti abeyeno. They've done nothing.
We'll see.
And ama sa problem, but 499 of them, Mr. President, they want to be like you, like others.
I myself, I think that the idea of more and more lawyers in the system is good for the health of the nation. We have a country that is governed by the rule of law.
Yeah.
It means we need to have lawyers in virtually all aspects of our national life, guiding the development of the country so that the rule of law really makes sense. There are, as always in these matters, many complex issues that have to be determined, and the conversation is ongoing. And I'm hoping that soon rather than later, a solution is going to be found.
Everybody seems to think that you should be able to give the solution, primarily because of the fact that you are a lawyer, one of Ghana's most celebrated lawyers. Now you're president, and wow profession, and as Asimikum, and year on year.
I think it's a reasonable expectation. I'll not run away from it. I think it's a reasonable expectation to see that this is a good moment for these matters to be resolved. And all I can say is that, God willing, by the time I come back here the next year, substantial progress will have been made in trying to deal with this.
So what happens to 499 right now?
Well, for the time being, there's no space in the law school for them. This is the problem. So there are others. There are several others before them who unfortunately fell into the same pit. It may be that this group have been decided to be more vocal than their predecessors.
Mr. President, you're being very honest, which isn't what we hear from the Ghana School of Law people. What can say, Mrs. Sia? There's no space. Inti adenti no mujini pano bro society. Yeah, but
the point is that what is it? How are you going to have a pre-selection as to who's entitled to take the exam? You can't do that. You could only operate on some sort of situation whereby the first X or something from the numbers. I mean, are the ones who are admitted. It's difficult. What the lawyers and the law profession can appreciate is the popularity of the profession.
Yes,
and that is healthy for the growth of a law-based state, that people are interested in becoming lawyers. And now, where the matter has evolved, there's a need for us to find a solution to the numbers who are applying in their capacity to go to law school. And beyond these matters, there are examples elsewhere which we need to take into account. Our situation, we began with certain institutional arrangements and we copied largely from the British, because it is after all their system of law that substantially we have adopted and incorporated into our Ghanaian legal system. But there are other examples of how the training of lawyers should take place, and I think that it's now being looked at in great detail. and hopefully a solution is going to be found. It's unfortunate. I cannot pretend that this is a happy coincidence for me at all. On the contrary, I'm very disturbed by it, and I'm hoping that soon the cooperation of the various stakeholders, the General Legal Counsel, the Chief Justice himself, Attorney General, myself, we will find a solution to this situation.
President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And Mr. President, as I mentioned earlier, I'd appreciate it if the UPSA sword you cut, you let somebody look at it. I would appreciate that very much. President Ekwa Probo Ewan Crying Ha Agbogloshi Ajen Kotoku Adenta Katamansu areas. Na your reporter Nana in Tree will be on the trail into your news bulletins near the Nana.
She does a very good job, by the way.
Well, we gave you a good girl.
Yeah, she does a very good. She's been going around with me for about 4 or 5 years now.
More than that, before 2016.
Even in opposition, she was following us, and she's very dogged, very serious. A boy modern wa.
A boy modern. No, Mr. President, baby, okay, what are you telling them? What are you looking for? What are you looking out for? Probably in crime for. Then I'll.
The same thing as I've done everywhere else. First of all, to see the various projects, road infrastructure, schools, hospitals, how far, what are their problems, and the response of people to them, which then helps shape the conversation of the government and its policy direction. I also go to thank them for their vote. 2020 was not what we had hoped for. We lost several seats here, I think 7 altogether, and did not win the majority here. But nevertheless, we had a substantial vote here. So it's important that I also thank them for the expression of confidence in us. Even people who lost the election are going around thanking people. How much more me? So these are the approaches that I have to my talk.
I see.
I think that I'll take it that is a statement made in jest.
Oh, Papa V. Statement.
It's a pity. It's a pity.
Finally, QI plus. Any thoughts on it?
It's in the Parliament. It's in the Parliament. It's a private member's bill. We've been fighting for for a long time, the opportunity for private members also to sponsor bills in Parliament. I believe this is the first opening that is. The Parliament is looking at it, and let's see how the process develops.
Do you feel pressured with the discussions going around?
No, I can't feel pressured. We're talking about public opinion. We're talking about legitimate processes that are being used. What I would hope for is that the debate itself would be civil, and that we would recognize the need for us to be tolerant and of each other. Even when there are opposing views. I was, for instance, impressed by the intervention of some very renowned and well-positioned people within the civil society sectors of our country coming forward to express their views on the matter. I think that it will be a credit to Ghanaian democracy if this matter is handled in the correct manner. Well, now I believe a reference will be made by the bill to the Constitutional and Legal Committee, appropriately. That's the committee that looks at the issue of rights and constitutionality of legislation in our parliament. They will work. I hear that over 130 memoranda have been submitted to them. I'm anticipating that they will all be looked at closely before they can come to some consensus. The chairman of the committee has spoken about what are his preoccupations, which I think are very legitimate, to be satisfied about the constitutionality and the legality of what is being proposed. All these are part of the mix, and I'm hoping that the process will be conducted in an acceptable manner, and at the end of the day, we will know what our legislature will have to the position that it will take on the issue.
Interesting thoughts, Mr. President. Thank you very much for your time, and you promised, so see you in a year, God willing. Peace 104.3, it's 11 in the morning.